Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope that you guys are all having a great start to the morning. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is I have on my screen. I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. What's going on, everyone? So one of the things that I'm watching closely right now is this potential change of direction on forward/CL. I don't know if it's actually pulling back and going to continue to make lower lows, and there it goes. It's selling off. It's making lower lows. The what's it called? MACD is super oversold, and so is the RSI. Crude oil is an ascending uptrend pattern as of right now. But crude oil, no question, is selling off quite a bit right now. I'm not too sure if we're going to be pulling back to this middle VWAP area or anything of that sort, but it's just been getting rejected nonstop. It's had a very consistent uptrend ever since it closed from yesterday, after market hours and stuff like that, right? So as soon as the market opened right around 4 o'clock, we started to see this thing uptrend, and as of right now, it doesn't look like it's still staying true to its uptrend pattern, right? It's still trading between the middle and top VWAPs. It's still making higher highs and higher lows. It hasn't made lower lows just yet. But yeah, as of right now, we're kind of just watching. And I do want to remind you guys that today is the crude oil report. In essence, that's why I went live 30 minutes later than I normally do, right? So I'm going to pretty much just allow, yesterday my trading day was not the best. As you guys can maybe hear, I don't know if I sound sick or not. All I did yesterday was literally just rest. It was such an unproductive day just because I was, in the bed, sleeping the entire day, but I have not rested that much in a very long time. So hopefully we start feeling better. But as of right now, I wanted to go live for at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes and talk about maybe what's trending up, what's trending down. And here we go. Crude oil is still making lower lows. There we go. Can it break below 56.70? One of the things that I just want to point out is that, this thing can continue to sell off, which means that, then DWT can continue to push up. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that you guys keep in mind that, I think it's super important to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, that you're not trading due to FOMO, but that you're trading due to it being a good deal and then being able to sell it for profit, right? I see a lot of you guys congratulating Gary. Where's Gary? Gary sold DGAS at. Wow, I like that. That's huge. I did see a strong push, right, on natural gas. It sold off. Yep, sold off quite a bit. This is where it closed at yesterday, and this is where it's at right now. It looks like it's trying to reverse, but it's been trying to do this multiple times, so just be very careful and very patient for actual higher highs and not just a false reversal and then it gets rejected. So just something to keep in mind, right? We're starting to get a little bit more consolidation around this general area for crude oil. So look at the MACD, look at the RSI. Still no signs of a reversal just yet. So how are you guys feeling this morning? Any updates or struggles this week that you guys want to talk about? Anything at all? Nope. Nothing. Down 1%, 1% today, but still a green week. I like that, switching from paper to real. That's a huge milestone, right? I'm not able to take a position. Okay. Okay. Being more patient means I haven't taken trade all week. Any advice? Okay. I would have to say that, the market's been very choppy, in my opinion, and it's been changing directions multiple times. So I don't see there to be anything wrong with that. It's just, don't be scared to take a position. Just understand why you're being patient and why you're being selective, and it's to allow a more ideal opportunity to present itself. I feel great. Your strategy works for me. Google account. Super happy to hear that. Crude oil. So just finished LPP. Thanks for the info. Of course, this is. I need to finish LPP. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to break down a couple stocks for you guys. I see someone saying that the stream is lagging. Is that true? Or is it just one for one person? Here it goes. /CL still making lower lows, and crude oil, looks like it, or natural gas, still trying to push up. Not lagging. Okay, so it looks like it's just for one person. So yeah, you just want to check your internet connection. All right. I think one of the stocks that were asked for me to break down were AAL, which is American Airlines, right? We talked about this one quite a while ago. And this is up to you guys if this is something that you guys want to take into consideration. We've brought this one up to people's attention before, and it's kind of this like descending pattern almost. I mean, look at the SMA line and the direction that it's pointing. It's had false reversals here, so be very careful for higher high confirmations. But there's no question that it's oversold. And that it's in that good deal price range. Just because it's a good deal does not mean that it's a good buy. We don't know how much more it can continue to sell off, and that's why I'm just trying to empower you to maybe be a little bit more patient than everyone else, right? There's no question that it has a lot of margin for it to potentially recover. So even if you capture a small percentage of that, right, at the end of the day, it's just do your part as a trader to set yourself up for success. And that's all I could really ask you for. If you want to get in right now, then you're getting in early and you're accepting the risk of getting in early, right? So it can get rejected. And if it does, that's, based off of your understanding of taking the position early, that's a risk that you take on. So do you think that the report will favor /CL? I don't try to predict which way something is going to be heading or anything like that. So it looks like we got a strong push up right now. Looks like we might be getting rejected. Let's give it a little bit more time. We're still not getting higher highs. We got a strong push, but we're still not getting higher highs. So let's be patient with this one. For those that were asking like what kind of like sickness or like cold I have, my body's actually feeling a lot better, I think, because I rested so much. I think I'm just gonna have to drink tea because my throat is very scratchy and like uncomfortable, right? So but I appreciate all the advice and all the suggestions and recipes everyone was sending over. It really does mean a lot. So JNUG does follow /GC. To an extent, there's a correlation between the gold future and the gold ETF. But one of the things that you do want to understand is that JNUG and JDST is a minor ETF, right? While the overall future /GC, sometimes it does follow. It doesn't follow exactly every single time. All right, here we go. CSII. Thank you, Albert, and thank you all of you. CSII. Here we go. Okay, do you guys reverse stock split in the news? Okay. So CSII looks like it has a very strong uptrend. Just, again, this is just my opinion, right? Albert, one of the things that I want to point out is that, I like that you're focusing on something that's showing signs of an uptrend, all that stuff. I just don't think it's a good deal. From where it's at right now, literally just made highs on the 180-day chart and how much more it can continue to push up. Look at the RSI and look at the MACD. It just makes sense that it's going to pull back before it continues to push up. And because of that, I would have to say that I'm not interested in taking this position. That doesn't mean that I can't be later on, right? So I really like the pattern, just like you probably really like it. But now we just have to set ourselves up for success. So what can we do? Well, based off of previous patterns, it does a beautiful job holding above this SMA line. So anytime that it gets close to or near to, we can set our alerts and then remind ourselves that it's in that good deal range, and then wait for this kind of like reversal to happen, right? Wait for this reversal to happen, wait for this like reversal to happen, rather than trying to catch it at the very top. So CJ.J, It's not very difficult. You just have to change your order type where you put like, instead of it saying day, it has to say like EXT. And then if you have the spread between the bid and the ask, then you can do a pretty decent job understanding maybe when to get filled and yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a video on it on YouTube and in the course, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not in the course. Definitely something that will be provided for you guys on the update. So if you guys need any help or as of right now, when it comes down to that, yeah, it's super simple. So like, let's say I were to want to buy here, right? So I'm just gonna buy a single, right? I'm gonna click edit, and then from there, all I have to make sure that I do is that it looks like /CL got rejected, is that I changed the day to EXT. Well, this is a future, so it's not gonna let me do it on this, but like, let's say I wanna do it with like DGAS, right? And I wanna buy here, so I click buy, edit, and then I can click all this and I just have to put EXT, and I just have to make sure, also this is a bad example because the bid and the ask, the spread is pretty wide, and DGAS isn't the best example for that, but normally if it's a normal stock, the spread won't be too wide between the bid and the ask, and I can just set my limit order, because it has to be a limit order, to buy at the bid or to buy in between the bid and the ask and stuff like that. So but yeah, looks like /CR got rejected once again. There it goes. Looks like it got rejected by the EMA line and the SMA line, and it looks like it's pushing back down. Look at that MACD, look at the RSI. Although it looked like it was in favor, right, of /CL, it looks like it's getting rejected. So, Ricky, what are your thoughts on Tesla? I literally get asked this question every single day. And just like I said last time, I think it's on a descending pattern. There's a lot of YouTubers that like talking about Tesla and how great it is. And I don't like to like compete with other people. Like it's not like with other, because people can get offended, and like at the end of the day, like this is just my opinion. And if it makes sense to you, great. But overall, you have to understand that Tesla is a descending pattern, right? And when it comes down to trading, recently, right, since it's peaked, it's been selling off. And looking at the MACD, looking at the RSI, and performing a technical analysis, we talked about this when this thing was peaking, and it made sense on why it could get rejected. It broke below the EMA line, and it's been making lower lows ever since. I still think that if it continues with this pattern, it's going to most likely continue to sell off. That's my opinion based off of previous technical analysis, and it's at the end of the day just that. I would have a big focus on direction, and all I would ever ask you is the overall pattern and direction of this showing signs of growth? Even if you want to invest in it and hold it for a long period of time, I still don't think, because of overall market conditions and the overall uncertainty of Tesla and it's like the idea of like it being able to sustain itself. It's just like I love Elon and I love what Tesla stands for, but at the end of the day, my hopes and my desires are irrelevant to what's actually happening with Tesla, and both on the technical side and fundamental side as of right now just don't make sense to me, and I'm just here to share my opinion, right? Yeah, but again, if you see value in it, then 100% set up a plan and go for it. Manage your risk, keep that into consideration, but yeah. What's going on, Nicholas? What's up? NUGT. All right. So it looks like we have about 15 minutes until the report comes out. So NUGT. Here we go. Gush does not have a future. It has an index. It's a combination between crude oil and natural gas, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it wouldn't be something that I would I don't personally like trading Gush and Drip, right? Because it doesn't have a correlating future. Hey, what's going on, Andrew? So I like NUGT because of the consistent uptrend. It looks like it's sold off and it's trying to pick up. Look at the MACD, look at the RSI. if you're just trying to look at more recent patterns, I would still pay attention to /GC, right? And although I don't think the direction is super clear right now, it was aggressively selling off, right? Because the market began to recover, and then now we're beginning to consolidate. So I don't think that the direction is super clear, in my opinion, right? And with the direction not being super clear, I don't know if this thing is either going to continue to uptrend, is it just going to continue to consolidate, or if we're actually going to begin to see this thing sell off, right? And that's super important to keep in mind, especially to understand how this might have an effect on NUGT, because if gold begins to sell off, then NUGT will follow, right? So just something to take into consideration, and maybe something for me to remind you to be a little bit more patient before you enter a swing trade without the direction being super clear. Do you ever trade the stocks you break down for people, or just set alerts for the sake of explaining things? So it would be mainly to set alerts. I've gotten asked this question before of like, what's the purpose of the Sunday stock talk, right? When I'm breaking down stocks for other people and I'm setting different alerts, it's for like being able to show people like my thought process on why or why not I see value in something. Throughout the entire video, like there are some that like Weston will cherry pick, and there are some that I will cherry pick if I see a value within the Sunday stock talk, but I'm super selective. You guys have to understand that like I focus a lot on my ETFs and ETNs, and it works pretty well for me. So something has to be like super like a consistent pattern with a great deal of margin of profit, and it just has to make sense. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It just means that I'm a little bit more picky than I would say the average person. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose of me breaking down stocks for other people is not for my own personal gain. It's for me to share how to break down a stock, so you can then rewatch that video and use that same concept when you break down other stocks for yourself. I hope that makes sense. So it's not because it's just like, oh yeah, I hope to grow my watch list, or for me. But you guys can see that I rarely ever trade any of the stocks that are being talked about, right? And it's not because I don't see value in them, but it's like I think that they're great. They're just, they don't outweigh the consistency and value that I see with the ETFs and ETNs that I trade. So. You would think, Matthew, I read that same thing. You would think, but it did not. It did not affect, and if we see anything, it did not affect. There was also positive news that was not released on TD Ameritrade of, this one, yeah, 518. So it actually was released today. So right around 518, that it was actually in favor of crude oil, and like, where was it? So U.S. data supply. So yeah. That it was then in favor of crude oil itself. As of right now, I just, it didn't look like it was reacting to the second news of like crude oil stockpiles likely to fall. It just continued to push, and there was no indicator, right, that was like useful at this point, just because it was just so aggressively pushing up. And I think we've all experienced it, where when crude oil really wants to push up, or when natural gas really wants to push up, there's nothing that can really stop it. And because of that, I just decided to stay away. So right now it's pulling back, it's correcting itself. It looks like we're right around this middle VWAP area. But we have about 10 minutes until the report, so we don't know if that's going to drive the price down or drive the price up for crude oil. So we'll just simply have to give it more time. Right. Looks like crude oil is still getting rejected right now, team. Ricky, do you trade futures or Forex at all? I do not. Um, do you guys mind? We have a lot of people that are asking for breakdowns, but no one is posting it in the ticker call out format. And that's kind of just upsetting because it looks like you haven't done your own due diligence, right? Our first candle above the EMA line, we'll see. Nope. It should not. If you're waiting for the crude oil report, why are you curious about forward/CO and its trend currently? I think it's important to pay attention to the overall pattern, regardless of, its current direction before it's affected by the report. As of right now, crude oil was showing signs of an uptrend, but it also was holding above the overall SMA line, and then now recently began to change. So I think that, but just knowing that and understanding the way that it was moving before the report, once the report becomes less relevant, we can see then, or maybe have a better understanding of what's most likely to happen after the report news dies out. So, yeah. Oh, no, you're good. All right, Urban Outfitters. Wow. Um, Looks like it has a really strong push up. Overall, very strong, consistent downtrend, right? I actually didn't expect this from Urban Outfitters, for it to be such a consistent downtrend. So, based off of recent patterns, definitely wouldn't be something that I would see to be a good deal. Looks like because of its earnings, right, that might have been something that drove the price up just because it's so relevant. But once then used, and just look at normal volume, and in comparison to where it's at right now, it's starting to correct itself, and once it begins to peak, then we'll most likely see a pullback. So if anything, I don't short stocks, but because it's so overbought and so overextended, and you can see that just based off of recent patterns, I can see why a lot of people will then see value in potentially shorting it. So Ernesto, when I talked about what my ideal setup looks like for me yesterday, right? So it would almost look something like this. So like if the crude oil report comes out and it comes out to be in favor of crude oil, right? So UWT, meaning that it drives the price up on UWT. I want UWT to push up so much after it consolidates that it's just bound to pull back. And once it pulls back, I can trade the inverse, right? So DWT after I get confirmation of lower lows. So that would be an ideal setup for me in my eyes. Everyone's different. Some people just want to ride something as it continues to rally, and that's great. At the end of the day, we all see value in different ways, but that's what my ideal setup is right now. And for all these different, ETFs and futures right now, I don't see anything that meets that criteria. So now what I'm waiting for is there to be a huge outlier in price for something to be super overbought, so for the inverse to be super oversold, and then I just wait for confirmation. That's what I mean by like my ideal setup. And again, my ideal setup is ideal to me and to me only, right? Super Snake, of course, thank you. All right. Okay. I don't know where they would. I know that they're labeled as something else on different platforms. So if anyone can help him, he uses Lightspeed, and for like crude oil and natural gas, /CO and /NG don't work. I think you would have to type in like I don't know what the ticker would be on other platforms. I do apologize for that, but hopefully a couple people can message you or post it on the ETF site. So, okay, here we go. So Dan is saying NG1 or CL1. So let's try that and see what happens. Here we go, Stefan. Oh, I do appreciate. Sorry for not getting to the first one. Here it goes. So it looks like /CL might be getting rejected right here. But let's see. Very consistent descending pattern. Yeah, well, that's yeah, there it goes. So I'll look at more recent patterns. This one would have to offer, if I'm not mistaken, a very similar pattern to like UWT, right? And I think that UWT, based off of recent patterns, is also pretty oversold, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or overbought and very close to the SMA line. And Gush is a little bit different for me. I've always struggled. I traded Gush for a little bit, and I've always struggled with because it's influenced by both crude oil and natural gas, and I just found there to be a lot of inconsistencies. So if you find something that's actively trending up, again, just to keep it super simple, then doing what it is that you can. So it looks like you're. Oh wow, you didn't even wait. Oh, you called out Gush and GRPN. Okay. Yeah, I just think it's too overbought right now. If anything, if it does continue to uptrend, I would wait for it to sell off to build a nice margin of profit for recovery and act confirmation, and maybe approach it that way. Other than that, again, I just don't like trading Gush and I don't like trading Drip. There's a lot of people that do find success in our group trading that. I struggle with it because they don't have a correlating future. So I'm just here to share that, right? GRPN. So this is Groupon, and on the 180-day chart, yeah. So I can definitely see why it is that this one caught your eye for the potential of recovery. Stefan, I have a question to ask you. How consistently profitable are you, and are you always trying to buy the dip? I think that I would be very patient for confirmation of this thing to show signs of an uptrend, because if it's bound to recover, it has a lot of margin to give back, and because of that, I think patience is key, especially on such an aggressive descending pattern. So I'll set my alert, but I would follow up with it, and I just would feel very uneasy holding something like this. So it looks like we have about 1 minute left until the report. It looks like crude oil actually had a very strong push up right now. Yikes. Ooh. My tonsils are swollen. Jesus. Can you guys see them? No? Alright, we got about 30 seconds left. 30 seconds until the crude oil report comes out. Andrew's asking, what's your take on Tesla? I actually just explained or broke down Tesla a little while ago, Andrew. And I said that, just like we said yesterday, that I see it to be descending more than the potential for it to uptrend with its overall direction on the 180-day chart. Look at the MACD and look at the RSI, and that would clearly tell you. Quick little reminder to close out your positions if you don't want to be influenced by the report. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, report. Huge sell-off. Whoa. Oh, there it goes. What the? It looks like it's almost trying to change directions. What the heck? I haven't seen one like this in a while. Look, oh my goodness. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely trying to sell off. So just be very careful in that. And there it goes. It's at the EMA line, but no, it's holding. Yeah, I'm sorry for my face. Because I was just like, okay, in favor of DWT, right? Cool. And then, oh, here it goes. Here it goes. So now is it? We might be a little delayed here. So there it goes. So it's now beginning to sell off. One of the biggest things, and look at the MACD and look at the RSI. Looks like it definitely is falling, and there it goes. So, wow. Here it goes. Still pushing up. Wow. I don't like this. I don't. It doesn't matter what I care, what I like, or what I don't like. But I don't like when there's so many inconsistencies. And as of right now, it's very hard to see it, especially because there's not much patterns to go off of on this, and that's why I always like to pay attention to crude oil. But as of right now, there's two things that I want to point out. So first of all, thank you guys for spending time with me and for the 30 minutes for the crude oil report. On top of this, crude oil was showing signs of an uptrend. The SMA line was pointing up, and it's now beginning to consolidate. It looks like it might be ultimately changing its direction. So one of the things that I want to remind you guys is it looks like now, not even just because of their support, it looks like it was trying to make a reversal and then continue with its push. So that is why I'm so indifferent about what's going on. If this report, is this report going to be something that is going to influence it to continue for crude oil to continue to trend down? Or after this news dies out, is it going to reverse back to its uptrend pattern for crude oil and then continue to rally? With so many inconsistencies and with so much unclear of its direction, one of the things that I just want to remind you is that when it's unclear, it's best to just not put yourself in that position. A perfect example could be yesterday. I did a great job trading during pre-market hours. I traded during normal market hours. The overall direction changed, and I got caught in it. I gave back a couple $100 within the live stream and then shortly made it back. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a very effective trading session because I saw the direction continue to change. So what I want to remind you is if you continue to see this thing not offer again, and that you could be you're the only person that can decide if it's too inconsistent for you. Not even talking about crude oil, but whatever it is that you are watching. If the direction is not clear, if the opportunity that presents itself is not worth it, and if everything that is not everything that you think a stock has to meet is not checked off of your checklist, right? Then it's best, in my opinion, to just not take the trade, right? Even if you don't take a trade altogether today, set your alerts and go on with your day. There's no reason to trade. There's no reason to set yourself back, right? Especially when there's so much inconsistencies. That's all I'm really here to remind you. It's that right now it looks like it is trying to trend down, and there it goes. We might be making lower lows here. But again, maybe once the volume and the hype ends up dying out from the news, it'll begin to correct itself. But there it goes. It's actually making lower lows. There it goes. Wow. Okay. Strong push. So it looks like now it is making lower lows, but again, the report can be having a very heavy influence on this. So my head hurts. I'm gonna go drink more or eat more soup, and then we can kind of go from there. But one of the biggest things is if I end up not taking a position today, I can almost promise you that if the direction is so unclear like this, I can reassure you that I won't be taking a position on anything. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Continue working hard. Continue following dreams. Let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team. And sorry for how I am. Yeah.